13 years old and I live and go to school in South Norfolk. I play lots of sports in school and outside of school. And for my GCSE options, I chose food tech, PE, geography and French. My generation, the generation of YouTube and social media, is surrounded by inspiration. We don't need to be told who to be like or who to be inspired by. We create our own inspirational heroes by watching them, liking them and sharing them. So how can schools compete with that? How can teachers inspire a generation that carry their own inspiration around in their pockets? What is it like to be in a high school in 2017? Is there enough inspiration inside the classroom? I decided to do some research amongst my friends and my teachers to find out who they're inspired by, whether teachers thought their students left their lessons inspired, and whether students found their lessons inspiring. The list of people my friends were inspired by is varied. They talked about people who were down to earth and persevered despite hardship, and some even talked about teachers. Teachers who made it clear to them they believed in them. During one of my classes at school, I asked the students whether they thought their lessons were inspiring. Only 3 out of a class of 30 said yes. I realised the fact I was asking them in front of each other might have made a difference to their answers, so I asked students individually. When I did ask them individually, they talked about lessons that were inspiring and lessons that weren't. Starting with the negative. We don't like it when a teacher walks into the classroom and sighs. It gives the impression they don't want to be there, and that makes us not want to be there either. We don't like it when they ignore us when we ask for help and move on too quickly, leaving us confused. While I was planning this, I heard a news report on the radio on the work pressures on teachers in 2017, and I wondered if this was the reason they didn't feel like they're inspiring some of their students. Did they just not have time to think about it? But when I asked teachers if they did think this is the matter, they didn't think it did, and they thought they still had enough time to plan their lessons in enough depth. I asked my fellow students about testing. Did they think testing affected their learning? They all thought testing was a good idea and that it helped them to know where they were in terms of education and how much they needed to work towards to achieve their goals. It's interesting how testing is often seen as a bad thing by parents, and yet students at my school seem to like it. After planning all of this, another question popped into my head. Why do we need inspiration in these lessons? But that's for another time. I started this with a question. Is there enough inspiration inside the classroom? In conclusion, we can never be sure if there's enough. Sometimes there is, and sometimes there isn't. My generation is surrounded by inspiration outside of the classroom, and we understand that a teacher's job is much more complicated than just inspiring the students they teach. After doing this research, I have realized that inspiration is often an individual thing, and it's about what we choose to put into them and what we choose to take out, because it takes a willingness to get inspired to be inspired. Thank you.